Hello and welcome to episode 8 of my series of videos about solar power and self-sufficiency and sort of generating my own electricity. It's been quite a while since my last video. It's been hard to find some time to get all the stuff together to make the next one, but finally found the time. And the piece of news for this video is that I have now got a second house battery. The battery that I've currently got is the Extra 2000 lithium battery module, which is part of the system that Solax supplies to go with their inverter. I originally just had a single 2.4 kilowatt hour battery when I had my original system installed, and it's been very good. It does help you to use more of the power that you generate during the day. You can use it during the evening once the sun's gone down, and thus utilize more of your energy rather than exporting it to the grid, which you don't get an awful lot for. So what I found was that then a single battery was probably lasting a couple of hours, maybe into an evening, and then it was all gone, and then we'd be drawing from the grid. So I decided to invest and get a second one. So I've bought another 2.4 kilowatt hour battery, and so that now gives me 4.8 kilowatt hours, and I had it all installed in my rack, and there you can see a picture of it here. The two batteries are wired together so that the communications can go from one through the other, and effectively then all the way back to the actual inverter, which keeps track of everything and allows me to receive the data about it to generate my graphs and stuff. So I got it all installed into my rack, and it's been behaving wonderfully. And the great thing about it now is that we get a lot more self-use. The battery, or the two batteries together now, can last us right the way through the night on good days, if we're not being too energy hungry through the evenings, and if the day has been a good long sunny day, right through until the sun sets with no clouds in the way, then we can last really well. I've got a picture here of a graph that was back near the beginning of June. We had some good long sunny days. The sun didn't set until quite late because it's getting close to the longest day of the year. So we'd often done the cooking and had our evening meal before the sun had even set. So it didn't eat into the batteries to run the oven and things like that. And so what happened then in this graph, you can see that the power lasted until we went to bed, and all the way through the night, going up until the sun came up the following morning. So actually, for that whole 24-hour period there, we drew nothing from the grid at all. We were entirely self-sufficient, which was great. In fact, at that time, I think there was a period about almost five consecutive days where we had we drew nothing from the grid at all for almost 5 consecutive days, which was fantastic. Since then, we've not had so much luck, but we had rather a lot of cloud and rain and stuff through the rest of June and into the beginning of July. So we didn't do so well. Just these last few days, we've been making it through the night almost, a bit now, but one of the things that tends to eat the battery away a little bit is the car, because we charge the car up now when we get home. Some of that comes from the batteries, so it actually eats into the battery, and then there's not so much left to make it through the night. But you know, at the end of the day, it's all been still self-use, so it doesn't really matter. A new battery system has just come out that is now recommended by Solax, and this is a battery from LG. It's a brand new one, and this is a 6.4 kilowatt hour battery. So this is almost 3 times the size of the individual batteries that I've got. So I'd need, you know, almost three batteries to make up the same as capacity as this one. It actually has an even longer lifetime as well than the ones I've got, and it is compatible. They're quite expensive, you know, around the same sort of price bracket as buying 3 of the thingies. So you're talking about £3,000 to get one of these, but it's considerably smaller than having 3 of the ones that I've got. I mean, because the ones I've got 2 at the moment, and they're sat in a rack, and that rack takes up a huge amount of space. If I was to take that whole rack and those batteries out and replace it with one of these LG batteries, you know, I'd have most of the cupboard space available again, that we used to put the battery system into when we first had the system fitted. So it'd be lovely to have one, but at the moment, because I already have the other ones, it's not worth buying one of these. It's more cost effective for me now to just buy additional units and have them fitted into the rack. Perhaps when they reach their end of life, which is I'm not sure what their lifespan is, something like 5 years or something. Maybe it'll be consider getting one of those to replace them with, but you know, hopefully they'll have come down in price a bit by then as well. We'll see. In my video that I made a little while back, there was I showed an image here that of one of the pages that I produced for my system that I'm writing, and you can see that I've got 4 battery slots there, which I gauged from the output data from the inverter. But since I connected the second battery, I was expecting battery number 2 to produce a reading, and actually it didn't. And it turns out that these 4 battery markers were actually for battery chargers, and the chargers are additional units that you can bolt onto the so if you've got a very large battery bank that you need to fill up. Because I'm only going to be running 2, and maybe in the future a third one, batteries, they can all run from the standard single charger. So actually all of my batteries will just appear as a single battery on my graphs, which I was a bit disappointed about, because I thought it would be kind of cool to have separate displays for each battery, but it doesn't matter. So I've since modified these pages now to remove these additional battery dials, because they will be unnecessary going forward. So the other thing I wanted to share as part of this video was some examples of some really good days that we've had, where we've had sunshine from the morning right through to the night, without a single cloud in the sky. I mean, it's been just completely blue, and it's produced a perfect graph. Look, you can see here, ignore the blue lines, that's where we're pulling power from the grid, and the great big pull at the beginning of the day near 6 o'clock, that's charging up the car in the morning, ready for work. But if you look at the red line, what you can see is that's the actual power coming from the solar panel. So you see this beautiful smooth bell curve that goes all the way over, just a tiny little glitch around 1800 hours. And that's basically, at the back of the garden there's a tree in a neighbour's garden, and just the sun just clips the edge of that, casts a slight shadow onto the panels right at the end of the evening, and that's what's produced that tiny little dip there. But then once the sun's passed by that, it resumes it, and you get this lovely smooth curve. The reason it doesn't go smoothly right down to the end, there's a bit of a dip right at the last part, is because we live on a hill, and the hill actually rises up a little bit behind the house, so the sun actually disappears behind the hill before it actually disappears below the horizon, so you get a bit of a cut off slightly early. But it's just an example of the beautiful smooth curve that you get from a beautiful sunny day. You can see on that day, actually, if you look at the blue line, that for most of the day, obviously we just exported all of it. The feed in is right up there, and it's all just being exported, which is a bit of a waste in a way. So it would be nice to be able to capture more of that and use more of that. But in order to do that, we've either got to get a Nissan Leaf and leave it here parked during odd sunny days and dump all of that spare power into that, or we've got to get some more house batteries and capture it that way. The other thing I wanted to show is I've got some pie charts that I've managed to plot from the data that I've collected for this year. And that shows what happened to the power that we've generated. So you can see in this first picture for January that we exported nearly 43% of all the power that we generated, and we managed to use 57% of it. So that's not bad. When we get to February, you can see that we actually exported 56% of the power, which is not very good, really. We used 41%, and it was right at the very last day of February that we picked up our PHEV, which I mentioned in the last episode, and so that appears on the pie chart for the first time, and we just a small amount of the energy was used to charge the car. But when you get to March, now this is a full month where we've had the car for the whole time, and also I had my immersion system that I spoke about in a previous episode up and running by then as well. So for March, you can see that we managed to dump 5.6% of the energy into heat and hot water. Nearly a quarter of all the energy we managed to put to charging the car, which is great. 26% was used on other things, but we're still exporting nearly 44% of the power, so we can still do a lot better. By the time we get to April, we've got only 38% being exported, and nearly 26% going in the car, 9% going to heat the hot water, and 26% going on everything else. But that export is getting smaller all the time. By the time we get to May, still in the high 30s for the exporting, but typically you can see from each of these months we're about a quarter of all the power that we're producing we're managing to put into the car, which is obviously great because that's free motoring, and we managed to put 10% again into heat and hot water, which ultimately saves us gas. And then for June, which is the latest one, you can see this is a really good one. We only actually exported 27%, so just over a quarter was exported, but we managed to use nearly a third of all the power we had going spare to charge up the car, which is fantastic. A third of it was used on other things, and again, between 8 and 9% heating hot water. Now, I think we could get the immersion value up a lot higher, but it would require me to buy a new hot water cylinder and have one custom made with an immersion element. Could be screwed into the bottom, as well as the normal heating coil that goes to the gas heating, and then I could heat the entire tank when I've got spare electricity, because at the moment I've got the typical immersion which sort of plugs into the top of the tank, and it only heats sort of the top sort of third of the tank, or the top half of the tank maybe. So eventually it cuts off because that water at the top is hot enough, but there's still cold water at the bottom of the tank, and I can't reach that. It's something I'm thinking about, but obviously there's a cost involved in getting a new hot water tank, and I'm not sure it would ever really be worth doing it, although I quite like to do it anyway. So I haven't got July's results yet because we're still in July, but I'm expecting it to be very much similar to June's at the moment. I think, like I say, other than doing the hot water cylinder, the only other thing I can think of that would allow us to use more of that would be if we get a second electric vehicle, which is potentially on the cards, but not for another 18 months or so, or I've been considering getting some kind of a electric assisted bicycle. So my job's fairly close to home, so I could, in the summer months, I could cycle to work with an assisted bicycle and get sort of two batteries. I could leave one here during the day to charge up, and then swap it over when I get home, and so on, and then that power that's going spare during the daytime when there's no one here can be charging up one of those batteries. So that's really all I have to talk about in this episode. I'll put some links on the video when it goes up to information about those LG battery and the comparison with the Solax batteries that I've got, in case anyone's interested. I'm not sure when the next video will be. I'll probably try and do one around, it'll probably be near October time, which will be a full year since I had the system fitted, and try and do some sort of analysis of a full year's worth of results, how much we generated in a whole year, how much financially, how much we've made, payback towards the system costs, etc. So I'll hopefully do that for October. I'll see you next time.